Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. I'm so excited about my episode today. So I am interviewing Holly Strack, which she is a business owner, entrepreneur, but she is a certified trichologist. So if you guys are interested in anything to do with hair, this is your episode. So without further ado, Holly, thank you for being on today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Heidi. I'm so honored that you asked me to be a part of this.
Yay, I'm too. I honestly, this is such an interesting episode because being an esthetician myself, I don't obviously work with hair specifically, but we all have hair and we all have had issues with hair. I'm sure, whether people like to admit it or not. So this is a great episode for everybody.
Absolutely. Anybody can benefit.
Yeah. So anybody that maybe doesn't know about you, can you go into a little bit of detail about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I've been in the beauty industry as a cosmetologist for 29 years. And then more recently, I've become also a licensed AP esthetician here in Minnesota, which has allowed me to do some more advanced treatments like microneedling on the scalp. But more importantly, I transitioned into learning more about hair loss and became a certified trichologist.
That's amazing. Wow. So, the transition obviously is a little bit personal, right? I'm sure you either had a lot of clients asking you about this or you've kind of experienced it throughout your career. How did that kind of work out? I'm guessing it happened like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have personally experienced hair loss in many forms, as most people actually do, and they don't really think about it that way. And I can get into a little more detail later. But I also watched my clients' hair kind of change before my eyes, having a very loyal clientele over the years. So it was just more of a feeling of I didn't know what to do, and I felt kind of like silly and ignorant, I guess, and how to guide my clients and kind of the reasons why behind it. So that's kind of what drove it. And there was definitely a family history as well, and within both sides of my family, but more specifically my dad. So we'll get into a little bit more about that type of thing in a little bit, I'm sure.
For sure. I mean, hair loss is something that I feel like a lot of people are affected by it, but sometimes we don't talk about it, right? And people kind of are ashamed of it, or they think it's completely their fault, or we think that we can't do anything about it. So I feel like this is something that a lot of people could benefit from, these services. So I want to go a little bit into the services that you offer because it's kind of fascinating how many different services you offer, number one. But the one service that always I watch on your social media is your TED, I'm guessing it's called. Because I
Yep,
see that
TED.
commented. Okay. I'm like, it's the TED. So and I looked it up a little bit and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, actually. But you go into a lot of different services. Let's just touch a little bit on those services and then we'll kind of go back to maybe the process of finding out what it looks like from the client's perspective when they come in and see somebody like yourself.
Sure. So I think the biggest, most important service there is the hair and scalp evaluation, which just basically is like a hair check or a scalp check. It's comes along with like a microscopic look or dermoscope look at your hair follicles and like a digital consultation form that is probably close to 50 questions. It outlines like your whole health history. So lifestyle, diet, stress, products you use, genetics, medication, supplements, those kind of things. So it's getting really a broad view of what's going on and like, has this been sudden? Has this been, long term? There's so many different, we can have many types of hair loss existing at the same time. So it's not like, oh, you have genetic hair loss and that's it. So that's one of the myths I would say that I kind of learned. I don't know if you ever heard like, oh, it comes from your mother's father. Well, that's true, but other places too. So kind of dispelling myths and talking through with clients what their lifestyle is like. And sometimes it comes from like, I think the biggest thing, like you had mentioned, becoming more, it's becoming more of a discussion that people are open to talking about more since probably 2020, specifically for women. Before guys, it's not like something they really talked a ton about, but it was like, oh yeah, yep, he's losing his hair, you know. And it was more focused on the men, where women we can hide it a lot more due to the way we style things, but it's a lot more of an embarrassing thing for women, I think, than men.
I agree with you. I It's definitely a service that you want to be more of an intimate setting. And I like that you obviously starting off in the hair industry, like you already have that, experience at the chair, experience talking to your clients about, all the things that they're experiencing with their hair. And, there's so much in your appointments that we go through. So obviously estheticians, just beauty professionals in general, like we have really intimate conversations with our clients all the time. So I can see that your clients probably brought this up to you and was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you about this. Like, can I have help?" I love that you start with that consultation, that analysis appointment, because yeah, let's get to the root cause of it, right? Like you can't just hop into these other services if you don't know why you're having, it to begin with. Now, after the analysis appointment, after that appointment, what are the different services that you offer that you can suggest to a client? Just to give somebody an idea. So if somebody's listening and they're like very interested in changing their career this way, or very interested in how it can maybe help them. I mean, there's so many different listeners out there, but our listeners specifically with Glowing Success are mostly business owners, mostly in the beauty industry. So they're probably listening with their like career hat on, right? So they're thinking maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there's a hairstylist listening that's like, hey, this could be something really interesting. What are the different services that you offer past that first initial appointment?
Yeah, so one of the services kind of that can sometimes be combined with that evaluation is it's called an epigenetic hair follicle analysis. And really that's kind of a deep dive into looking more at your lifestyle, that lifestyle nutrition, environmental impacts. And so I never really understood the role of nutrition, but if you really think about it, like our hair is considered non-essential to the body. It's not a vital organ. So if hair loss is a symptom of something not going on inside properly. So like fighting, whether it's genetics or whether it's nutrition or other deficiencies or toxic metal exposures, EMF and ELF, electromagnetic things with our cell phones and travel. So that's like a whole nother rabbit hole that we can go down. But I like to include that if people are willing to do that right away, because it pairs really well with blood work. But blood work is like a 48 to 72-hour window of time where you're looking at it. And this is basically a 90-day look back at what's been impacting your hair, skin, and nails. So this is an amazing tool for even estheticians or even nail technicians, not only hairstylists, but in psychologists, hair loss specialists. But it can really help if you have like skin irritations or any kind of like fungus or ridges, or it really can help uncover something going on internally for people. And a lot of supplements that are out there targeting hair loss, they can be good, but not everybody is deficient in those specific vitamins and minerals. So it's more of a targeted, specific to the client, their unique makeup in their body and kind of what they eat and all that stuff. So that's one thing that I would like to include, because that's an easy thing to get started. You don't have to be a dietitian or a nutritionist. They give amazing training. And then we're just helping clients to kind of uncover those pieces as well. Um, but I would say it's it's really just so helpful to be able to offer those tools to people. I mean, there's a plethora of things you could do. Like I could officially like be doing toppers and wigs, like alternative hair, but that is like a whole nother segment that I have just chosen not to go into at this time because there's so many things to learn about. So I have like three other people that I refer to for those things, but like that could be an option for people if they really like if they're currently doing extensions and they want to like add this on because if you think about extensions, if you're dealing with genetic hair loss, that's really dealing with the top of the head. And extensions, we aren't typically putting extensions anywhere near that area. So you can have really nice, long, full hair through the sides, but that doesn't like if you start seeing that genetic women, the pattern of a female pattern, which most people don't think about and they don't really understand because they just think of male pattern baldness. So we can get into a little bit more about that, but you're obviously, as we get older and that pattern can tend to happen between, um, perimenopause and menopause for women, like it's gonna be very evident that you're thinning or losing hair, and then you have all this lush, long, full hair on the end. So toppers are a great option for people that are going to be continuing to wear hair, or that's where we can get into doing TED, which is non-invasive um, way to help stimulate and regrow hair, or microneedling on the scalp with growth factors or something called exosomes. So those are some different ways. The only way you can do the microneedling here in Minnesota, every state is different, is if you have an advanced practice esthetician license, which I did go back and do last fall. It was about 500 hours. I was doing that full time and working at the same time. So it was a bit chaotic, but I just want to be able to offer lots of options for my clients.
Yeah, because it sounds to me like not every client that comes in for this service is going to have the same, needs, wants, desires, probably timelines, and the reason that they're there, right? So it is nice to hear that you have a lot of different options. When I was looking on your website too, I saw that you have a ton of different options, and I was like, oh wow, that's really great because that's a very well-rounded, approach to it. Because yeah, not everybody's going to have the same reasons for what they're wanting from the treatment, how fast they're wanting the treatment to take place, and the reason that they're there. So I love that. So hairstylists, you guys have options. Now, you obviously went to school for this separately. This is not something that you necessarily learned in cosmetology school or aesthetic school. So maybe give the listeners a little bit of information about becoming a certified trichologist.
Yeah, so absolutely. I would like to encourage various boards of cosmetology to be including more information on this in their curriculum because it is so important to discuss and for the hairstylist to know as well. But yeah, so there's a bunch of different certifications out there. There's hairstylist or hair loss specialist certifications, courses, and then there's trichology certifications. So there's think of it as like an entry level exposure and then like a little bit more training for the trichology certification. So even if you don't want to go into becoming a full certified trichologist, there's not as much time commitment in being a hair loss specialist. And it's a great way to kind of dip your toe in to see if it's something that you may want to continue with without that full commitment. And I have about three different places that I kind of recommend. So if anybody's interested in, I certainly can talk through that. There's different virtual programs. There are in person. There are all online. So it just depends on what your learning style is and like the pace that you want to go through it, if that makes sense.
And that's specifically for hair loss specialists. Now, to become a certified trichologist, who did you go through? And we can put all of these in the show notes. So if she's going to share all this, we'll share it, right? So I will put
Sure.
all of those links that she suggests in the show notes, you guys. So if you're listening, you're like, I want to know. Don't worry, we got you. But specifically, I was asking maybe where you got your certification for being a trichologist.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually went through two programs. That's certainly not needed, but I just definitely have a passion to learn. And there's different pieces that other courses offered that I was looking for. So initially, my first training was through Trico EDU, which is an online program through Tabitha Fredericks, and she had the hair loss specialist course. That was my introduction into learning more. At that time, she had not completed her trichology course and was in the process, and I didn't want to wait. So that's just me. I like to just kind of plow through. So I went through where she went through, which was USTI, United States Trichology Institute. And so I did virtual classes there were three different segments. It's hair loss specialist, and then and then associate trichologist, and then the trichology certification. So it was three different segments, and that was ended with in clinic, like clinical training in person, and then there were different tests that I had to take. When I finished that, um, my friend now, Tabitha Fredericks, finished her trichology program, and I just decided to enroll in her program and compare what I had learned from the other company that I was trained in, and um, very similar type things. She had a few other things, as well as an amazing online community of people that support each other. Um, so we talk and share information about what we're going through, any questions we have, any like second opinions that we're like struggling with, treatment ideas, new products. Yeah, lots of different things. So I have another friend of mine that's also gone through World Trichology Society. So that's another great one. And the other one that I would suggest is IoT. So yeah, I'll give you all those links. They're all reputable, and it just depends on how deep and how medical you want to get, how clinical, how much time you
Mhm.
have, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because everybody does have different learning styles. So I like that you brought that up because, everybody's got different situations, different everything. We all learn differently, people. So no worries. So from what I'm hearing from you, there's a lot of options if this is something that people are interested in learning. If they're listening and they're like, you know what, I really think that I'm really interested in this. I want to dive into it. There's a lot of different learning styles. There's a lot of different programs, and it really just depends on what's good for you. So we will make sure to put all those links in there. Now, can we talk a little bit about like how is this a little bit different than doing hair every day? So let's say somebody's listening and they do a lot of haircuts and color every day. What does your day look like compared to when you used to do hair like that? And obviously, I don't know if you still do hair like that or not. So I'm assuming you don't. I'm assuming this is like your main service and you're just a hair loss specialist, trichologist now. But anybody that's listening that's like, maybe this is a good transition, but what does that look like for me? Like, am I still standing the same? Am I still holding things the same? Am I still taking clients back to back? Am I, kind of give an idea of like what your day looks like now?
Yeah, so it definitely I still have, a handful of clients that I still do hair on to keep my cosmetology license right now. But the majority of my clients or my business is hair loss. And so yeah, there's a lot of similar things. And like obviously you're used to consulting, you're used to talking to people, but it's kind of at a different level because hair loss, if somebody's coming to see you for hair loss, it's a little bit more emotional. It's a little bit more personal for people. Not that we don't get talking about some very personal issues as a hairstylist, but it's not as lighthearted. How about that? It's a little bit heavier. Um, we're already used to being in that kind of like counselor therapist kind of role, but it's definitely like digging deeper into like, what's going on and what's stressful, like where things might organically come up while you're putting in highlights or, blow drying somebody's hair. But it's kind of a little bit more than I was thinking it would be. But I'm pretty personal and people trust me. And so there's definitely a different level of that part of it. But I would say it's, fairly similar as far as timing goes. Haircuts, typically I would book out an hour because I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. So I would have, I'm the one booking the appointment. I'm the one checking my client out. I'm the one booking the next appointment, those kind of things. So like a hair and scalp analysis at this point, or hair an evaluation appointment is about an hour. Um, Maybe getting into it in the beginning, you may book out a little bit more time because you need some time to maybe do some of your follow-up information or taking notes. But overall, it's fairly similar, and obviously, you're more sitting at their level. You're not standing up like walking around them like a haircut or something like that. It's a little bit more face to face. As far as like the epigenetic hair follicle analysis, it's about an hour as well. You're taking the hair sample, you're waiting for that, you're talking to them. If it's not in that same evaluation appointment, you're then talking to them a little bit more about whether it's hair loss, or somebody else could refer them to me if they even had a skin issue. So it's not that it's all about hair loss, it's also about wellness. So if you're feeling fatigued or you're having some other health issues, like it's a great service to have done as well. Um, but that's a lot of talking. And then once the report comes back, which is usually about 15 minutes, and you get like a 32-page report for that um, hair hair analysis evaluation. Um, then you're going over what the report's telling them they're deficient in, or what kind of foods they need to be avoiding, those kind of things. So it's definitely a lot of talking and explaining. Same with even the evaluation. You're talking about like what products are they using, how often are they washing their hair, what are their heat tools set to, because not only is hair loss come from the actual scalp, but we can also consider hair loss breakage if people are not properly caring and using hot tools, that kind of thing. But also breakage and weakness can come from a lack of nutrition. So there's kind of all of that overlaps in that sense. But the different part would be a little bit of the microneedling for hairstylists that aren't used to doing like those kind of treatments. It's just a little bit different in that way. Same for the TED treatment though. It's probably about an hour total on all of those. So it's not anything. The only thing that would be longer than those hour appointments would be if I combined, a couple services, or mainly those the hair evaluation and the epigenetic hair follicle test together, which that would be around 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes, where you're solidly talking through a lot of things all about that initial appointment. But otherwise, it's a lot of like hour here, hour there, not usually blocks of 2-3 hours where you're doing balayage and toning and all that stuff like that. So I think a lot of the stuff that you guys do as estheticians are close to, 45 to an hour, right?
It just really depends on the service, but yes, I would say on average, most like services are an hour up to 90, minutes. But
Hmm.
so it does sound like you're sitting a little bit differently. You're kind of in front of the client differently. Like you're not necessarily, because maybe what I'm hinting at too is if, let's say somebody's listening and they've been in the hair industry a long time and their body's kind of giving out on them and they're interested in this might be something to look into. Like it doesn't sound like it's as taxing on your body in some ways, right? You're not holding a heavy hair dryer. You're not, standing up constantly. You're not having your hands above your heart. Like so that's kind of maybe what I was trying to get at too too, is like, how is
Yeah.
it different compared to, because people are always, I have listeners that maybe are wanting to transition their career, and this really sounds like this could be a viable thing. Now, I feel like if you're listening also, you probably don't need to offer all of these services, right? To be a hair loss specialist or to be a certified trichologist. These are just the services that you chose to offer from what it sounds like. You don't necessarily have to offer microneedling if it's not something that's legal in your state to offer, if you only have your cosmetology license, let's say, or, so this is also something to look into when you're taking your training. It does sound to me like the TED machine, I will call it, was a
Hmm.
very awesome thing. That's really what caught my attention when I started following you online again. I was like, I don't know why, but the algorithm like showed up again on my algorithm for some reason. And I was like, oh, cool. I haven't seen her in forever. Like, just to give you guys a backstory, we both rented a salon suite in the same location for a while. Not the same suite, I'm sorry, but we each had suites in the same location, I should say. So
Yeah.
I've known Holly for a long time, but you know how the algorithms are. They show you people, they show you, they don't show you people. So anyway, you popped up on my algorithm again and you were using this TED machine, I'm guessing, and it just looked really cool. So that is definitely something, like there's probably other machines out there, and we're not going to go too much into that brand of that machine because we're not talking about branding today, people. We're talking about the service itself. We're talking about, maybe transitioning to being a hair loss specialist or certified trichologist. So, but I will say, like, it just is really cool to see that there's options out there that are far beyond maybe cutting and styling and coloring and so forth. So I think that's amazing. Now, can we talk a little bit about like your client's journey? So obviously everybody's a little different from what I'm hearing, but in general, how fast do people see results when they start working with you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it totally varies because it depends on what services people choose to move forward with. So that can really make a difference, and what type of hair loss that they're experiencing. And like I said, it could be more than one type of hair loss. So if you're dealing with genetic hair loss, you're going to be combating that going forward the rest of your life. And with more and more people, younger and younger, experiencing hair loss, people used to we started to see people in their like 50s and 60s, and now it's like teenagers and young 20s that are like also experiencing hair loss. So that just goes to show, like, between diet and EMFs and everything's just kind of accelerating a lot faster. So yeah, it kind of does depend. Some clients, if they're compliant, like, you're never going to see anything sooner than 90 days, first of all. So we'll just put that there.
Okay,
You got to give it a
good to
solid
know.
3 months. Yeah, there's way too many. And depending on how many things you put at it, right? So I offer a
Yeah.
multi-therapeutic approach. You got to talk about what you're using for products on your hair. What's your diet? Are you using topicals? Are you using prescription drugs, oral or topical? Are you using any kind of
Hmm.
low level laser therapy? Are you doing any microneedling? Are you doing any of these head treatments? Like, there's so many things that could be affecting that outcome. It doesn't mean people can't get help with starting in one. You can encourage people, like, starting somewhere is better than nothing, and the more you can build on that. So that is kind of a big piece of it. And like you mentioned before, people don't have to be a hair loss specialist. You don't have to do all of these things. And that is one of the things I did appreciate about Trico EDU, Tabitha's website or online course. She talks about, don't take on too many things. Focus on, doing maybe this thing and that thing. And you don't need to be the expert in everything. So that's what I love about the group of people and hair loss specialists, trichologists that I work with, like, across the country, is that not everybody does business the same. Just like hairstylists and just like estheticians. There's estheticians that specialize in acne. There's, estheticians that are brow focused, and there's hairstylists that do extensions and blonding, or, you know what I mean? So you can really make it what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, I love that. So when you're having a consultation with a client and they come in and they're like, "When can I see results?" What do you usually say to them? Do you say like, yeah, obviously you kind of give us a general synopsis of, "Hey, we don't know what's going on. We need to see what's going on." And then obviously it depends on what you choose. But would you say people are noticing? Because obviously I'm guessing you're showing like before and after photos. Like, how are you capturing clients for this? Like, what are you telling them? Because but the explanation you gave earlier is a little bit like, well, am I going to see results? So I'm looking for an answer to tell people like my clients usually see results within this time period. Or like let's say I'm a client and I'm coming in and I'm like, "Hey, I want to see results. Like I have a wedding next year." Like what would you tell a client?
Again, yeah, it's how much do you want to throw at it? What's your like if they have let's just say
Let's
it's
say they did everything. Let's say they did everything. So like they came to you, you did all your stuff and they're like, "I'm going to do whatever you want me to do. I'm going to be the perfect client." Do you ever give them a kind of a timeline or like what is
yeah, I mean
do
90
you have
days. 90 days.
okay.
It would be your
Okay, so
first
that's
would
when
be the
they'll start
first.
seeing something. Okay. Because I was like, "Girl, what do you tell your clients to have them come in? Like you're kind of backing it out
Yeah.
of there." So okay, so
Oh
90
no,
days is kind
I'm
of when most people see something. I'm guessing you have good before and after photos. Basically, what I'm trying to get at for the listener is like your clients are going to see results with this. It just really the treatment plan is going to depend on what you find out through those findings. And so, this is something that you're going to have a positive effect to your clients. Like your clients are going to notice something. So that's actually really positive because sometimes with skin it can be a little defeating, right? Because let's say somebody has cystic acne or something like that. Sometimes people we have to really dive into it. So I understand what you're saying earlier of like I need to dive into why this is happening and we can't just like, tell you you're going to have magic happen. But at the same time, we definitely have treatment plans that are going to work and give you those, those amazing results that you're looking for. And honestly, like
absolutely.
this is great for everybody. I mean, men, women, non-binary people, like everybody can benefit from these services. And so that's really
Absolutely.
amazing too. Like you were saying earlier, like, people everybody's got unfortunately maybe experiencing some of this in some way shape or
Hmm.
form, right? Whether it be like your hairline's receding or whether you do have a good amount of hair coming out or maybe you just always have had issues with your hair and you're like, I want to see somebody that's going to help me with this. This is so exciting. Now let's chat a little bit about, is this something, obviously you've transitioned your career to this so you can live off of this, you make enough income to live off this. Let's say if somebody was listening and they're like, I really like this, but can I live off of this? Can I survive off of this? Is this something that you would suggest to be your main income?
Oh yeah. It's one of the fastest growing industries out there right now. And that's where I mean, you're there. There are so many product lines and so many different ways that this is changing. This even medically, and like I said, with exosomes and stem cells, growth factors. I mean, probably use those in your practice on the skin. And so, basically, the scalp is an extension. It's the skin. It's the largest organ of the body. So, um, with all medical advances out there and clinical trials, it's only going to be better things out there, in my opinion. So you start out like you're not
That's
just like
amazing.
dropping everything and starting becoming a hair spa specialist and not doing anything else. It's a great way to transition.
Yeah,
And that's again back where having a community of other people that you can talk to about how they're doing it. Are they adding in 1 day a week and then keeping their existing business and then slowly
yeah,
transitioning? Are you just doing a couple hours? There's a lot of great ways that other people have paved the way before you. So you're not, this is the
yeah.
beauty is that we already have other people that have done this and you can kind of learn from them. So you're not
Yes.
alone.
Yes. I always say that we're not reinventing the wheel, people. We're just we're just we're just learning something that we haven't learned before. This is all
Exactly.
amazing. So if you guys are listening and this is something you're interested in, I will leave everything in the show notes, like I said earlier. Oh my gosh. Well, Holly, thank you for sharing all this. This is like so much information. I'm so glad you could be on today. So just to let you guys know, she just got done traveling today. So I was like, "Oh, we're
Yes,
gonna have tight timing," but I'm so happy you
that's
could be on.
perfect. Yes, I just came back from the American Hair Loss Council conference in Dallas. So it was like I'm
That's
perfectly
awesome.
pumped up about this. So
Yeah, you're like, I've talked about it all weekend. I love that. Well, thank you again for being on today, and listeners, thank you for listening. I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or a tip that you can use immediately. If you are wanting more marketing tips, business tips, or anything like that, I have a lot of resources on my website. So I have PDFs that you can download for free. So look in your show notes. There should be a link in the show notes that you can click on and it'll take you right to my coaching website. And thanks for listening.